Right. Yeah. Well, last week, okay, welcome to Color Theory. This is session 304. This week, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be completing a color study of an apple the uh, based on the colors that we devised last week when we met. Okay, so came up with a color palette just for a review. Okay, we looked at our color charts. Okay, and from there, looked at our picture or the actual reference and picked out colors that were close to what we saw in the apple, figured out what the primaries were that made up those colors, and then we put them in the chart and mixed some variations to see what would apply. Okay. Um, so here you see on my palette, I need to switch some things around for a minute. Great. So that you guys can see better. And let's get this screen. Okay. All right. Okay, so now you see there uh, up on the screen the apple, and I have my palette and the color study template. Now you'll see a ghost image of a grid that's like rule of thirds. Now we don't necessarily need that there's a grid, but there is a nice rectangle. It's not quite as wide. Uh, the the photograph that I have posted isn't quite as wide in proportion as this, but we can modify it. What we want to make sure is to do is make sure that we have um, enough room, for the shadow and the apple itself. And if you want to, you can use a pencil to sketch it out first and to map things out with the pencil, um, which is not what I normally do when I paint a final painting. Normally I sketch with the paint, but in this case, we want to make sure that we're mapping out, since it's kind of like a posterized image of the different colors that we see in the apple. We can use a pencil to help us plan that out. So I'm going to start first. I'm going to draw like a spherical shape, and then I'm going to modify that. Uh, let's see. And then we have the kind of an ellipse of what's underneath, but then I have to go back in and I have to modify. I'm going to go ahead and modify this apple shape um, according to the different angles that I see. So I go back into this and it's going to be quite linear, and then I'll be softening it up again. But my goal here is to really capture the character or the gesture of the apple and how it sits on the table. And that's best captured by using the different angles. And if you're not sure what angles to use, what you can do is, you could use your picture to, you can judge angles by using your pencil and comparing the angle in the picture to the angle on the apple. Kind of what I've done here. And it looks like there's a little bit, you can see the back side of the apple there, and there's that little indentation over here. So that's cool. We got that. That's good. And the shadow is not just the simple ellipse. I mean, that has some angles on it too that, are reflective of what the shape of that apple is. So Want to make sure I capture those accurately as well, and that's going to give me a more accurate drawing, quick drawing of this simple object. So I have pretty much my apple drawn out. And now what I'd like to do, well, I'm going to wait for you guys. You let me know when you're done with your general sketch there. Because after this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at first the interior of the apple itself, and we're going to map out the different color changes that we see, the major ones. We're going to start out simply first, and then we could go back in after we block in the major color fields or areas on the apple. Then we'll go back in and put more of the subtle color differences. We're going to start out general and move to the specific. And we do that best by using simple shades. Paints here, I do want to give them a spritz so that they don't dry out. Here's a little tip for you. Sprayed my. I'm sorry, what? I just sprayed it with this little spritzer. I don't think I have any spritzers. But some of you, if you're using acrylics, what you can do to keep if you're using a disposable palette, what you can do to keep your paints wet is to use a spritzer. Now, I should make another video about this, how to make a stay wet palette with a cookie sheet from the dollar store. You can get a cookie sheet from the dollar store, and you can wet some of the shop towels, the blue shop towels, and lay that in the cookie sheet. And then on top, you can just use kitchen parchment. And that's a cheap stay wet palette. And that works really well. And if you get 2 cookie sheets, you can lay one on top of the other. And it'll give you some extra, staying power. Or if you have like a Tupperware container, that's like a huge rectangle, you can put it in there. But the paint does stay pretty wet, even without a cover on it. So even though I kept this pretty geometric, as I go along and I paint, then that's going to help me, I can refine it later. How's everybody doing with their drawings? Let's take a look. Oh, it's got oil paints. You have oil paints too, yeah. But you can't have it in there because that's got a lot of beautiful colors. Oh yeah, you got oils? I'm oil setting. All right, good. Yeah. Oh, we got it. Is this the same with the base or is it different? But it's different. But I think it's different. Okay. I'm not exactly sure. Okay. Maybe I should try one that. Over there to the stuff that needs. You're using oils too. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Awesome. Okay. So if you're done with the drawing, now you can go into this apple shade that you did and map out where you see different colors. Like there's a major color change in here, and there might be some gold color changes. The highlight, those things. So it's like a mappable map, except we're doing it with color. So, okay, so let's see. So I have this shape here that is kind of like a delineation between color. Now this is different. Usually we think about just value, but here what we're really trying to do is capture. Okay, and then I see there's a little bit of yellow over here. I see a highlight over here. And then I see like a bit of violet over here. And there's some reflected light over here. That's kind of, it's like kind of like this shape. And then there's another little shape under there, maybe. Actually, yeah. And then I see something darker over here. That's like this kind of a shape. So I'm looking at the different colors that I see. Oh, and there's like a line of something over there. And then here, and it includes even what's in the background, I think I'm seeing this whole thing here as like a yellow green over here. And then it kind of, this whole area here seems to be one color. And wait, and then I have within this, I see there's a dark spot over there. There's also, oh, there's another little shape over here that's a different color. So, and then I have within here, there's this brownish color right over here. I'm using like really technical adjectives, right, to describe these colors, but you know, so now I'm starting to get this topographic map of different colors. There's a little bit of dark under here, and I see, okay, so I see an occlusion shadow here, so I want to make sure I kind of mark that off. That's where my darkest dark is, and I'm just going to generalize this for now, although in the outer part, it kind of fades out, right? So I can generalize that as something. We can see where that takes us. Oh, this is not quite shaped. See, I don't have that shape just right now. That I'm looking at it again, I'm noticing some other variation of that I can put in. All right, let's do that. So I'm just kind of mapping out, ooh, and over here I see a difference. Underneath, right underneath here, kind of comes over here. Oh, and it kind of wraps around there. And over here, and it actually kind of goes that way. And there might be some other little spots that I could add later. And honestly, a lot of this might even just get covered up some. Okay. I'm going to get rid of some of the extraneous types of lines. Fill that shape up. Okay. So now I have this little map of stuff. Oh, and I see this little thing here. All right. Okay. So you know what? I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up. Now we can, you know, once we have our map, then we can mix our colors. Do you have it in there? Is that dark something? Yeah, a little bit of fun. And then on top is that's black, and then there's white, just in case you need it. I have it there. usually include it. It might be useful to get that slight violet. Okay. All right. So I can make this larger for the purpose of color mixing. How about that? Does that help more? All right. So let's yeah, we're gonna enlarge that and check what we have. I think I did okay. Sometimes if you look at it too large, like you can get too far in the weeds. So I wouldn't use this to I don't want to confuse you on this one, but I think a little bit more like of a violety color on the bottom of this little apple there. And the rest of it seems pretty warm. Okay, so a little bit of yellow, which is, let's see, the area of this color, but it's not saturated, so I can go back. Do you want to see the palette again? Or do you want to see the apple bigger? All right. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. All right. Is it? I could probably move this over for a minute. Move that over so I can make this just a little bit bigger. That might help. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take this and mix that. I have green, right? So we need more yellow. Added just less blue, right? So let's take a little bit of it and put that over here. I did cerulean blue and cad yellow light, and I'm thinking that it needs a warmth. So I'm going to take a little bit of a tiny bit of the cadmium red and put that in and see. See now that red is really strong, right? So let me take that back into here. Mix this up and more yellow. This looks more in the realm of where I can get. Except I'm going to need some more yellow. Let's get some yellow in there. Just a little green. Okay, so that's pretty close, I think, to what I need. I like that color. That looks pretty close. So I'll put that. Here. Get a small brush. And let's see, I see a little bit of it over here. I see some all in there. Pretty transparent. Okay. And good. Okay, so I got that. Okay, and then it looks like in this part of the apple, it's like kind of like this could be a base for that, but there's other colors. So actually, I'm going to take this down because I could see my lines through this anyway because it's very transparent. And I'm just going to put a coating on here first. So I'm working with the acrylics. I could see through this pretty well. Right. And I see how there might be some umber. So I'm going to take some of this over by the umber. Mix a little bit of the umber with it. See if that gets me closer to where I need to be. Yeah, the yellow green that I mixed, I just put a little bit of burnt umber in it, and I think it needs to be a little bit, it needs a little bit more umber, but I do think it needs to be a little warmer, so I think I might add just a tad bit of, a little bit of red to it. Actually, that looks pretty good. I'll just add a little bit, tiny bit, teeny tiny bit of the red. It takes over so much. Oh, sometimes I don't like that. Okay. That looks pretty good. Let's see. I think it needs a little bit more umber. So it's kind of this really, really dark, I would say a dark gold almost. That over here to this apple here. Yeah, it looks pretty dark here. And then I think I'm just going to take some, let's see, you know what? That might need, I'm going to take a little bit of cobalt blue, mix that in with the burnt umber over here. I'm thinking that that's going to give this just the value it needs over here on that dark spot. There's a little dark spot over there. So I'll take that. And let's see. Now I can make a color that's in between these two to make more subtle transition if I want to. So here, let's do that. If I see something that's a little bit lighter value, that might not be the best color. Let's see. Here. A little bit darker. Add another layer. Yeah. So I think I got a decent handle on that. Maybe I'll blend the edges a little bit, but you don't have to do any blending. Oh, and I do see, oh, I see some more dark right around here. And just around this edge here, maybe I'll add a little this deeper color. Down a little bit. Give my paints another spritz. Keep them wet. And let's see how you guys are doing. Well, you can. Oh, there's the other. Okay, yeah, they look pretty good. Yeah. Okay, let's get them on the. Yeah, yeah, it's, there's a lot, yeah, you see, that's one view, so now if I printed that out, then it would be even worse. And then what we're like, yeah, the color would seem a little bit warmer, right? I think. Then on, and they look totally different on my computer screen, which is pretty interesting. Like actually cooler, which is kind of neat. All right. Okay, so I think I'm going to go into some of the reds. Let's take a look. So we have cadmium red. I have cadmium red and alizarin crimson, and I'm going to need both of them. But let's see. Uh, there's also some of the yellows, and we got some violet. So, where do I want to go with this? I think maybe I'm going to mix some of the cadmium red with the alizarin crimson because I think together that makes a pretty good starting color, but it's really, really saturated, and you really don't want that much saturation. So, let's see what happens. I'll add a little bit of white. Add some white to it. Let's see what happens when I add some white. Okay, so that gives me color that I really think I can see in some areas there. But it might need add a touch of this early into it. Let's see what happens when I add a touch of this early and it makes it a little bit more violet. Add some more of the red. So this gives me, definitely gives me some of the more pinky violet tones. Let's see. Okay. Definitely see this towards the bottom, like in here. I see this color. That kind of set over here. Actually, I'm going to make this a base for this whole section here. Then I'm going to go back in and add other colors to it. You can still see my little map underneath. I'm thinking that this is going to be a pretty good base color. And now I think that, oh, okay, so I got a little bit around there, but then it gets kind of warmer. Red gets a bit warmer towards the top of the apple in general. So let's see. So let's take a little bit more of this cadmium red, mix it with a little bit of the yellow, warm it up a little bit. But it's not quite that bright. So what happens we need it to be dulled down a little bit, then we can add a little bit of blue to it. Blue. Yep, and that kind of dulls it. So that's good.
So what did you do to this one?
Okay, so I had some cadmium red. Well, it was actually cadmium red mixed with some crimson from the pile I already had. So I took that violet red, I added more cadmium red to it. This needs a little bit more because now I need to take it back up a little. I actually need more violet. So I'm going to put some more alizarin crimson in there too. And I think I'm going to have to add, there's a little bit of yellow, there's cadmium red, there's alizarin crimson, and there's some cerulean blue. But I think I need to take this down a notch with some white so that it's not so dark in value. It might actually just mm-hmm. So this is actually, it's almost like it has a bit of a warm peachy tone to it. So here, so I think I'm going to make this part of my apple this color where the light hits it. And that makes it a little bit more sunny. I think I need to take that into some more yellow. And take that over here. That's a little bit too dark. Okay, so I turn that down. So now I'm at the point where, okay, I'm looking at it and I'm kind of mixing like some in-between colors and putting that in because I'm seeing some differences that I want to account for here. Lightening things up where I need it lightened up. Kind of see something cool. Grayer. Alizarin. Yellow. So believe it or not, what I'm seeing too is, quite a few like chromatic grays in here. So that's going to be a combination, of course, of, different colors. Could be a combination of all the colors. You can read those subtleties and put them in. On top. Let's see, there's a hint of warmth over here. Put that in. Let's see. See a hint of warm yellow up there. Let's see. I might have to put some of this back. Okay. Sometimes I got to go back in and lighten things. Like in the case of here, on top of the apple, it's a little bit lighter. And it might even be a little bit on the peachy side. Then it gets a little bit more violet over there. So there's all these different changes going on after you get the major colors. You can then, make your adjustments in the highlighted areas there. There's a lot of interesting temperature changes, I would say. Here, there. Because there's a lot of, there's a lot of areas where there's reflected light. So our goal is really to, try to, get the many of the temperature changes as we can with the color, and kind of make there. It's mainly we're just trying to get color notes. Where are some of the reds warmer? Where are they cooler? Um, and really just trying to get a handle on all those little differences that we can see or feel. And a lot of these colors are variations based on what we initially started with. noise today. Isn't there? Let's go back into this here. I got like kind of a violet color over there. It's purple. This light on here is purple right under there. See, not all, some of the low lights are not, you know, and some of the marks on the apple, not that we want to get that detailed, but you can actually see how some of the spots are actually like a faint purple. If you get, if you go up to it really close, you can see it. It might be hard to see from a distance, but if you go up to the apple, you might be able to see it better. Well, I would say like maybe you might be able to see it better in the photograph. It's, so I got to do this highlight, and I think it's kind of on the warm side. Gotta make it pure white. Whites actually looks pretty yellow, so okay. So with some of the resulting colors that I mixed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record those down at the bottom. Maybe I'll label them later. So the colors that I used so far and see. And actually, I'm going to add to this. I'm going to add cobalt blue over here into my list of primaries. Let's see, I use this color for some of the reflected lights. Let's start with use this color for a highlight, and it's going to get even more interesting to see all the different colors that I've used so far. Apple, well, the major ones at least. This. bit. This umber mix. What else? Oh, add some more pinkish tones over here. Range of color. All right. So now if I go into that, I'm going to go into the shadow. That's right. You got some great colors in there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, when you go. Yeah, that's you know what, you could use some alizarin cream to that. Yeah, you need like a nice violet. Yeah, I think you have that in your. Oh, you're missing. You're missing some of that deep, some of the deep violet. Yeah. My other the different things, which is really cool. And that one is really good, that little pink spot. That is purple. Yeah, it's a little purple. Yeah. I got the purple in it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, even if they were, it's a little bit, there's a touch of lavender. See how it's fading a little bit? Because the white tablecloth reflects, the reflected light that goes back into that, the bottom of the apple there. So that's why how you get. I thought, where I was sitting from his part was green, it was more of a green, but now I can see it's not green. Yeah. A little bit more like salmonish. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And a little. If I compare, if I compare like up here compared to down there, it's actually both kinds. This is a little bit lighter than that. Then there's a little bit, kind of actually a little bit more of a purple shade there. Red. It's like a red violet streak. Wow. Yeah, I like that. All right, I'm going to go into the shadow. It looks pretty blue, so I'm going to start with some cobalt blue. It's definitely going to need some white because, well, it's not quite that dark. And I'm thinking that maybe I'll take just a little bit of burnt umber because it's grayed out. So we're going to gray that out. There's a glare. I'm getting a glare. Maybe a little bit of black next to it to deepen it even more, gray it out even more. I'll start with this. I'm going to start with this color and then I'll darken it. It's a blue. All right, so I have white, I have cobalt blue, burnt umber, and a little bit of black. And I'm just going to do one, treat this all with this color first. And then I'm going to go back in and darken it, lighten it, whatever I need to do. In the shadow here. It's gonna it'll dry darker anyway. So I know that that fades out a little bit, and I'm thinking that it looks to me like it might be a little bit purplish on the outside. And a little bit lighter, so I added some alizarin crimson and some white, and I'm going to see how I like it, the edge of the shadow out there with this. That actually looks pretty neat, kind of like that. I think I just might keep this simple here. And I got to add my occlusion shadow, so let's just try to add a little bit of black. And a little bit of black to this. Some burnt umber. And some more blue. Let's make that deep. And because I know, that there's some red on the apple, maybe I'll also add some violet to it. To make it darker though. All right, so I added some of the alizarin crimson as well. Black. Get this nice and dark. It doesn't really have to be black. So I think this part of the shadow here. What I see. But over here, it looks darker, but it's definitely more on the, I see a little bit of red violet in it. So the shadow itself is going to be pretty interesting too. There's all different colors in it. And of course, I could always go back in. Oh, you know what? I got to take this down a bit. Take that down a notch. It's a bit too dark there. So I need another violet. That's better. And I could bring that in there. And too much paint on my brush. Take this. I'm going to go in and do this occlusion shadow. Oh my gosh, are we almost done for the day here? No, I'm glazing this in here and back here too. I think I get this hint of violet in the shadow. Blend that out a little bit. And it's darker back here. And blend. Blend that in with the blue. I think that looks pretty cool. I do think it needs a little more dark over here. And as you move away from the subject, the farther away, it's a little bit, it gets faded. So I'm gonna go in with my brush and just take that up. Other than that, I don't think I really want to get too involved in any of the background stuff because it's my subject that's the most important thing. So I'll let that fade. I'll give that more of a faded edge. You guys can't see that, but now I just think I need the occlusion shadow, so I'm just going to add some black. A lot more black. And let's go and get under this apple there. Occlusion shadow, and then I think I'm going to be done with the study part here. There we go, then it doesn't look like it's floating. Okay. All right, so let's get all those colors too. Okay, so I got my shadow color. I'll just put it over here. I got this violet over here. I have, red violet over there. And I got this blue. It's really nice. And dark, dark. Almost black. Right there. And there were times when I did use some pure alizarin, so I think I'm going to put that here as well. Like I kind of glazed it. Alizarin crimson is a transparent color, so you can glaze that over other colors. And so we have quite the assortment of colors. This, bring this more to the front here. Here we go. Okay. So I think that's that. Now, looking back, it looks like I could add some more warmer colors. You can't really see that so much. I can play that up a little bit, but I do have the color note there that it is warmer, even though we might not be able to tell so much from the distance here. So that tells me, okay, well, I can do that. I can actually do that now. There we go. Let's get some warmer red in there. And even lighten it up a little bit. Okay, that's better. There we go. We warmed it up a little. I think that's about it for today. All right, so next time we're going to take a simple object and we're going to practice doing it in different color schemes. We'll do a monochromatic. We're going to try to do up to 3. We'll see how much time we have next class. So yeah, we have one more class, and I'm probably going to pick something. I'm going to pick a white object so that it's easy for us to, switch up colors with lights and shadows and things. Um, yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be like a white teacup or something like that. Something. It's actually got an interesting shape to it. I don't know. Maybe you won't want to do that. You can make a suggestion, but the idea is to just use that. We want a simple object with lights and shadows, just around with different colors. And marshmallows are fun too. Uh, uh, Monochromatic, complementary color scheme, maybe with a split complement. So we're just using this simple object to uh, help us, record colors and play around with the idea of tints, shades, or and saturated color, desaturated color if we're doing complementary, and so that you get the experience of seeing the dynamics of color and how it would work on really matter what color you pick. You can make any color scheme you want to work with any subject. So you could take, and I don't know, let you do this. You have like a landscape, even a cloudscape, cloudscape, anything, even a portrait. You can play around with different color schemes if you just by bringing in a black and white picture of anything that you're interested in painting. So I'll set something up, something simple, but again, you can bring in a black and white picture of anything. Just make sure it's black and white. I can make a copy of it, I guess. If it is color, I can make a copy of it on the copier. All right, I'll just yeah, I'm just gonna the white teacup because then we won't be distracted. It's so we're not distracted by the local color of the object, right? We're gonna put it. If it's a white teacup, I might not use a tablecloth. I'll just leave it on the black, the black column there, and we'll still be work. It'll be technically be black and white, and we won't, have to be distracted by that. We're just looking at lights and shadows and how we use a monochromatic color scheme, a complement, or a triad, or a split complement to make it realistic. Okay, so that's the end of the live stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Send me a message. You can add some comments if you tried out the exercise.